Hey everyone, it's Jerry at the Fledge. Welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. Today on the show we have Matt Waterman. How you doing today, Matt?
Doing well, my friend. How are you?
I am doing well. In the show yesterday, we talked a lot about you with our friend Bo Kirby.
Yes.
So we went over your whole skateboarding career yesterday.
Oh, cool.
And people will notice that you're one of the few guests that doesn't have anything after your name. We should put something up there. But one of the things that I'm going to ask you in a second is what your project's about, or tell us about it. What's the name of your project?
There you go. It's at the bottom of the screen.
So Matt's project is me. And I really like I think at the end of the day, all the other projects are subsets of me, right? For the other people.
Absolutely.
And I like how you're just tackling the whole thing right from the beginning. So, that's the lead in. Why don't you tell us about Matt Waterman?
Well, maybe if you were to do some sort of parentheses by my name, I mean, I would say it had probably have something to do with music. That's what I do the most. What I do, and I'm a music producer. I'm a musician, recording engineer. Been involved with the Fledge since near its inception, and that's just what I do, and I like to just kind of think of myself as a person, before a musician anyway, and or a member of a band, or a owner of a studio, and because I'll be, I don't know what I'm going to do today, a lot of the time, what I'm going to get into, but usually it revolves around music. Say that.
And you have a job now, right?
I do have a job with a regular paycheck. Yes, I do.
Yeah, you want to give a shout out to those guys?
Yeah, yes. I work down at School of Rock, East Lansing, right by the Okemos Meyer here. Shout out there. Yeah. Thanks for the water bottle, John. And also shout out to my coworker Sarah Wallace, who was on a couple episodes ago. But that's been awesome as well. Yes, being a regular teacher for the first time is extremely fulfilling, and the influence of people just learning to play is has been great for me.
Out of all the people I've ever met that do music, I would always choose you if I was trying to get my child to be trained or learn music. I mean,
cool, man.
I think almost like what you were saying at the beginning, and maybe a little too much, your name is synonymous with music. When somebody says Matt Waterman, I think that's going to be the first word that pops in my head every single time.
Well, good. Well, thank you that I'd be the first person to teach your kid. Thank you a lot. Yeah. And that's nice if that's what somebody might associate me with as well. I'd just like to be known as a good human being too. Hopefully that's in there too.
Yeah, it is. It's there is so much more. I mean, when you pointed out, even Bo and I talking about your skateboarding yesterday, you still skateboard?
Yep. It's sometimes I got to push myself to get out now that it's getting cold, but yeah, I'm still go out a couple times a week. That's one of the highlights of this whole year for me was getting back into skating, and hopefully I'll go down to Ranny another couple times before it really gets frozen over there.
Have you been? Is that predominantly where you've been skating? Is that Ranny?
Most of the time, I just skate in the street, just working on flip tricks, and I feel like I'll be going to skate parks more again next year now that I've kind of regained some things. But a lot of time it's just easy enough to just go outside the house and roll around, and usually I'm not too bored because I'm still learning to get learn everything again. But
see, for that to be fun, you have to know how to like ollie and stuff, and I can barely get off the ground, so I have to go to a skate park to skate.
Sure. No, I understand rolling around. That's a very, very calming thing in itself. Yeah. I think a big difference as an adult now compared to being a kid is like I don't really care if I land anything anymore. Like I just enjoy every chance to even try, just the fact that I'm out there and my heart's kind of going and, I'm breathing some fresh air. I just, that's enough for me. I've definitely learned to appreciate the 10 times you fall compared to the one time you land it.
Yeah. I'm always scared of getting hurt now, but Raven and Rain have, pulled me out into the street a couple of times this year. I'm still trying to get consistent on this pop shove it sex change thing.
Sweet. Yeah, it sounds
a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm afraid of getting hurt too, and that's part of the reason why I just go in the street because feel.
Let's talk music. Let's talk more. You have been in a lot of bands, do you think, or just a few?
I would say compared to a lot of people I know, I actually haven't been in as many bands, but I've been in a handful of bands for a long time, and then I have a handful of other ones that I was just in for a while. So I'm fortunate that some of them lasted a while, and I didn't I was never was never really felt like I needed to be in a ton. But,
do you want to name a couple? Any you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, well, Jason Alarm was the first band I was ever in, and that lasted on and off for 11 years. I was in a band called Mr. Fox and the Hounds for about 4 years. One of my recording clients, The Devil's Cut, asked me to join their band, and I was in that for about 2 years. Made an album I'm still very proud of. And I was also in a band called Decades for 3 years. 3 years, I think. And we did a lot of touring for being a band, that was very young. The most touring I ever did was with The Devil's Cut. But I actually tomorrow will be 2 years since I played a real show with a band. And as weird as that sounds, like I'm okay with that. Like I'm ready to do it again. But I really enjoyed the last 2 years just being me and just working on music on my own terms and not, this might sound selfish, but just really not having to compromise with anybody or, go by anybody else's terms, abide to anybody else's schedule. I feel like I've progressed a lot.
All of those bands, I know them all well. I'm pretty sure I have T-shirts from every single one of them in the Fledge right now, and maybe even music. The Jason Alarm cover that you guys cut up all the faces and put it on.
Yeah,
that's the cover for this show today.
Okay, cool.
So yeah.
Cool. That was a great picture. Great afternoon.
Yeah.
I met Cody Kudala, the guy who was eventually the drummer of Jason Alarm, that day.
Yeah.
And he just happened to be he was he was on the cover of that album, and that was the day that I met him. I met Sam Wilbur that day, and a couple other people. A few people in that picture I saw just that one time, and I never saw him again. That's cool too.
Shannon and I couldn't make it, so you cut our faces out of other pictures.
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks for doing that. No I appreciated it.
Of course.
It made me famous.
Yeah.
So, can you play every single instrument ever?
No. No.
All right. I just was curious because it seems like you can.
I guess if you look at the main staple instruments of a rock band, yeah, I can play all those pretty well. I teach all of them at the school, being, bass, drums, keys, guitar, singing. Well, I don't know about singing, but yeah, I'm doing that. Harmonica, banjo, can kind of play a few brass instruments now, but I could never do the saxophone, or I'd like to learn how to play violin too, but I don't know.
What about a cello? We got a cello here now.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Well, maybe I'll pick that up and just see if I can do it. Usually when I try to play a bowed instrument, it just sounds like, I'll figure it out one day.
So I'm gonna ask you something that you do every damn day.
Yeah.
But I actually feel like I should ask you something that has nothing to do with music.
Okay.
What do you do?
Yeah.
To get to know, the non-music Matt a little more. Or maybe it's always music Matt, but has other characteristics.
Oh yeah. One thing I do every single day now is probably even more consistently than making music even, is I just always make sure to stop and clear my mind and take a few breaths, and give myself a positive affirmation, and accept whatever feeling comes over me, or is coming over me at that time, whether negative or positive, and just sit with it and not try to be attached to it. And I think that's really a fundamental principle of how I go about making music now. And yeah, I would recommend that to everybody, no matter what you do.
I think that's pretty good advice. When was there something that kind of sparked that for you? Have you always done that? I mean, I remember you had baby blue sky and white clouds in your childhood bedroom, so maybe you would stare up there.
No. That didn't really help. And in fact, if anything, I probably had noticeable anger issues so, until a few years into adulthood. But I think the first thing, the first reason I ever got into it was a relatively shallow one, because I'm a big fan of Rick Rubin. For those who don't know who that is, he's just kind of the one of the most successful music producers there are, and he's transcended a lot of different musical genres, and at the basis of how he goes about making records with people is this very calm, mindful attitude and everything, and he has this very regular practice of meditating. And so at the time I was like, oh well, then I'll just meditate so I can make $10 million making gold records or whatever, or at least I'll try it. And yeah, it turns out it's just a very good thing to do. It doesn't need to be. It really isn't specific to music. I watched that Michael Jordan documentary not too long ago. Did you hear about that came out or whatever?
Yeah.
So, that was another thing that their coach Phil Jackson implemented every day, was meditating. And again, it's not specific to just music or sports or anything. I mean, you don't have to attach it to any sort of career or skill. It just it just makes you be able to just get through things easier. And I think it also it makes the low points of your life a lot more palatable. And it also I think it has helped me not get so much of an ego when something goes right as well.
Yeah. So I think that's great advice, and non-music, right? Or doesn't have to be tied to anything. It's
yes, it does. Yes,
it's global.
Yeah.
So Bo and I actually talked about that yesterday, about as it related to skateboarding.
Yeah.
And how skateboarding can almost force you to be in the moment.
Absolutely. Without question.
And I meant
that's one of the reasons I love it.
Music must be a little like that too, right? You get forced into that moment if you're performing on a band or on a stage.
Sometimes, but I think for me personally, I think it's easier to do when you skate. When you skate, you don't have a choice, because like if you if you're not in the moment, you're gonna like eat a concrete sandwich in a couple of seconds. There are some of the best shows I ever played. I feel like I squandered because I was up. Of course you need to be in the moment enough to focus, but then there's also, like when you've played a song a million times, sometimes you're just up there, going off of muscle memory and thinking like, oh, like my monitor mix isn't very good, and like this isn't very cool, like I'm not having a very good time, and the snare drum sounds crappy, and there's you don't get that time back, so just don't do that. Don't do that.
That's every little punk show we have at the Fledge. The lead singer saying everything you just said.
Yeah, or whatever, or the drummer's not going at the tempo you'd like, or all these little things. It's just like you did everything that you could to prepare. Now you don't have any time left, so just enjoy it. Jeez, that's what I tell myself a lot of times.
So Bo's question for you from yesterday is, out of everything we're talking about, all the choices, whether it's skateboarding or not music, why music? Why does music seem to be the thing for Matt Waterman?
For me, it's my thing because I think it is what forces me to show up and put my best self out there for in the face of God, I guess you could say, or the forces of the universe, or whatever you want to call it. But to me, it's not so much I don't want to say it's not so much, but it's I guess the community aspect, I guess just the whole social aspect of bringing people together is wonderful. There are a few things in this world that do that, like music, of course. But for me, that's actually really second to just be communicating with some sort of supernatural force, and just speaking to it. And I've learned that you really have to take care of yourself to be in communication with that thing on the fullest level. So not only is that cool when you can, be that tuned in to, some sort of higher plane than this 3D earth that we're living in, but you really gotta work on that every day. You gotta work on yourself. So it really, it just forces me to, keep myself, I guess, as well.
That's amazing. I don't know what I expected you to say, but that answer is so poetic and so beautiful, and actually just improved my entire sense of what music even is.
Sweet.
You're awesome, Matt.
Thank you.
And You're then awesome. it leads right into thank you. Sharon Ketchum is with us tomorrow, and she's the pastor of the Unity Spiritual Center. So what question would you like to ask her that I can pass along tomorrow?
Well, so first I want to say, Sharon, it sounds like what you do is really cool. It sounds in line with how I feel about a lot of things. So just kudos. I understand that your last church burned down. So we've already talked a lot about mindfulness, presence, meditation, or whatever. That's like what I do. I'd be interested to know how important those things are to you and your church, and more importantly, in the face of a catastrophe like that, how did you maintain a level head and be calm and keep moving forward? Do you even look at it as a catastrophe anymore? Obviously you're still kicking and doing good things. So I just want to know how you got through that.
Nice. So now I got to turn that on you. We talked enough, I think, about the being in the moment and mindfulness. So we'll just skip to that second part with you. What do you do? How do you get through that? Is every catastrophe always a catastrophe, as you get more distant from it?
No, definitely not. In fact, most of them aren't, I don't think. But I think the first thing that pops into my mind is just getting older and piling up the catastrophes, and just from experiencing, realizing like, oh, like that sent me down another path, and that's good. I'm glad I'm here now. But there's a few things where I still just sit there and wonder, like, man, why did that have to happen? And I'd still catch myself being angry sometimes. And with that stuff, it's really just, yeah, I just have to take a step back and just, usually I just got to stop what I'm doing and do some of the things that we talked about earlier, like just sitting there with that thought, or, I go skate a lot of times, just go outside for 15 minutes or, that's really what I try to do.
Bo said skating saved his life. It would help him cope. with so many things.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I'd probably say it's therapy for me more often than music is.
It's incredible. I think we met at the skate park benefit show, right?
Yes.
Yep. I often say without those skate park benefit shows, the Fledge never sparked the way that it did, because I was lucky enough to know you and have you in my life. You came to the Fledge. It gave us music credibility from the first second that we opened our door. And, maybe not. Actually, you were going to move away.
That's right.
And then you stayed.
Yep. I can't. I mean, so much of my credibility, whatever that may be, comes from that time as well. It's just crazy. That was just an immense. I think it was just an immense period of growth for everybody, for the Fledge, of course, but definitely for me. And I'm glad I stuck around.
I forgot that's why your mom likes me, because you didn't move away. So I'm off in a daydream now about when we first began there. But some of those, I see these photos.
5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago, or almost 5.5. So almost
5.5 when the Fledge started, and a little over 5 when I was drilling holes in the wall and all that sort of stuff.
And you guys I can't believe how young you were when we were doing these the contests, and not the contests, the concerts.
Yeah.
And when you were playing with Decades and you guys.
High school for the first couple ones.
Yeah. You guys brought about a lot of happiness to Shannon and I. I appreciate that.
Hey, I appreciate it too. Those were great shows. Yeah, great memories.
And actually, Chris Pruitt, the happiest homeless person, is saying music makes people happy, and thanks for spreading happiness, Matt.
Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, well, let me do just 1 second of quick Fledge business, which is basically, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss things like this. Check out 99 Problems, but a Pitch Ain't One today at 3. So that's in about a half an hour. Every Damn Day airs every damn day at 2 p.m. And 10,000 Fledges is 3 p.m. every Tuesday. That's a 5-minute show. It's a new one that just started last week. So anything you want to take us out with, Matt?
Thank you for all that you do, first of all. And especially now in these very confusing, strange times, and just thank you to the Fledge. I'm down with the Fledge for life, and just anybody watching this who hasn't heard of what the Fledge does at this point, just go check it out, please. Do yourself a favor and do it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Matt. I love you to death, man.
You too, dude. All right.
I'll talk to you.